Hey there, and welcome. Today we're jumping into a huge topic, one that's a massive challenge in pretty much every modern workplace. How do you lead a team when your people are scattered all across the globe? All right, let's get into it. So, this is the big question, right? It doesn't matter if your team is in 2 countries or 20, the real challenge is always the same. How do you take this incredible group of diverse individuals and make them feel like one, truly connected unit? Well, that's exactly what we're gonna break down. Okay, so where do we even begin? We've got to start by talking about the invisible forces that are shaping your team every single day. We're talking about cultural values. Think of them like these deep currents running under the surface, guiding how every single person on your team thinks, acts, and works. You know, it's kind of like everyone on your team has this unwritten rule book that they bring with them to work. And this rule book, it influences everything, from how they feel about a deadline to the way they talk to their boss. If you don't take the time to understand these different rule books, you're pretty much managing in the dark. And here's where this idea gets really practical. Let's just take feedback, for example. In a direct culture, someone might just say, hey, this report is missing key data. It's blunt, it's clear, it's about the task. But in an indirect culture, you might hear something more like, this is a really great start. Maybe we could think about adding a few more figures to round it out. See the difference? One isn't better than the other, but if you mix them up without understanding why, that's where you get some major friction. So once you get that these different cultural values are a real thing, what do you actually do about it? Well, that brings us to your leadership toolkit. We're going to shift from just understanding the why to the practical nuts and bolts how of leading your global team. The source material really boils it down to 3 absolutely essential skills. First, you've got to adapt your feedback, just like we talked about. Second, you have to actively, and I mean actively, encourage everyone to participate. You have to remember, in some cultures, speaking up is valued, but in others, thoughtful listening is prized. And third, you have to do this constant balancing act between the big picture global goals of the company and the on-the-ground realities of each local team. And this is so important to get right. Using these skills isn't just about damage control or, trying to avoid misunderstandings. The real goal is so much bigger than that. It's about taking all these different, unique threads and weaving them together into something that's strong, unified, something truly cohesive. Which, of course, leads us to how you actually build that cohesion. And listen, it doesn't happen overnight. It's not a switch you can just flip. It's a journey, a process that happens in very clear stages. And it all, and I mean all, starts here. The foundation is trust. It's really the currency of a global team. It's that core belief that your teammates, no matter where they are in the world, have your back and are working toward the same goal. Without that solid base of trust, everything else is just gonna crumble. Now, once you have that trust, you can almost feel everything start to click into place. That sense of psychological safety lets people truly engage. They start sharing wild ideas, they're not afraid to challenge assumptions, and they invest themselves 100% because they know they're in a safe place. That's how you go from just having a foundation to building a real collaborative structure. And here it is, the top of the pyramid. When your team is genuinely engaged like that, they stop just, checking boxes and completing tasks. They become deeply, personally committed to the team's mission and to each other. That is where the magic happens. That's true cohesion. All right, we've talked a lot about the theory, the skills, and the payoff. But look, knowledge is only useful if you actually apply it. So this last section, this is all about you and about turning these ideas into action. This is the question I want you to ask yourself right now. After everything we've talked about, what's the one single thing you can do, your next move, that'll make the biggest impact on your team? And to help you get started, here are a few prompts to get the wheels turning. And seriously, don't try to boil the ocean here. Just pick one. Are you going to learn more about a specific cultural context on your team? Are you going to consciously practice giving feedback a little differently this week? Or maybe just take one small action to build a little more trust. Whatever it is, actually write it down. Make it real. So I'll just leave you with this final thought to chew on. We spend so much time talking about managing differences as if there's some kind of problem we need to solve. But what if we're looking at it all wrong? What if those different perspectives, those different ways of working, what if those aren't a liability at all? What if they're actually your team's single greatest asset? Just think about what you could achieve then.